I'm born ready.
Oh my, what did I do here? What am I doing with my life, y'all?
That's a question that only you can answer,
I
Hams.
have
This is
no.
true.
I give
Don't
fucking
worry,
up,
guys.
bro.
Don't worry, y'all. We'll get it sorted here in a second.
Fucking Christ.
It looks like we're live on our page.
No, we are.
We are, but it's just
Oh, okay.
everything is we're in a shambles.
We're here.
No, it's just me. I am in shambles.
It's okay. You're allowed to be in shambles.
Ugh, fuck.
What's up, Sloppy?
Sloppy hose.
Ugh, fuck. I can't believe I did that.
It's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine.
No, I went live from my channel, Sloppy. For like
Yeah, she went
2 seconds. Because I don't know how to do things. Oh, God. And the boys are in a Twitter.
We're in a Twitter battle with Texas Tech fans. Like, now, granted, I'm neither a like a UT fan or a Texas Tech fan. I'm just here for the meme of it.
Yep, I'm getting messages on Twitter. Hey, I saw you went live. God damn it. I'm having to say false alarm.
He's not here for the followers, Darth.
Yeah, apparently not, dude.
Oh, fuck. I hate this. Everything is awesome.
Combo. Where's Combo? We need Combo.
Why
Combo,
do you
we need
Combo
you.
to fight your battles for you?
I don't need Combo
No,
to
it's
fight
just-
my battles for me. I
just
want
funny.
Combo to fight my battles for me. I want to sick a 16-year-old Canadian boy on these hoes. That's what I want to do.
Can you give me the context of what is happening right now?
Okay, so I tweeted in response to Texas baseball because we've had two pretty brutal last-minute losses over the last couple days.
Mm-hmm.
And not because of the fact that we lost, quite honestly. I mean, yes, it's devastating, but at the same time, the kid who hit the winning home run off of us last night made this whole pageantry around the base paths, like throwing horns down, damn near stopping in the middle of the field to like point at our dugout and throw horns down. And in baseball, when someone disrespects you, what do you do the next day in a situation like that? You throw a fastball at their rib cage as hard as you possibly can to send a message to say, hey, you don't fuck with our program like that, okay? You don't make a mockery. You don't disrespect us like that. It's an unwritten rule in baseball that if you fuck around, you find out and you find a fastball to your rib cage at 95. So I tweeted at the Texas baseball team and said, please hit Wilson in the middle of the rib cage as hard as you can. First pitch, first at bat, to the Texas baseball Twitter account. And I opened up my phone at a gender reveal party about an hour ago, and I had like 18 notifications. I'm like, what did I tweet that was so popular? I don't even remember tweeting something. I'm like, hey, something must be gaining traction. No, it was the whole Texas Tech baseball Twitter lighting me up for being a ginger.
They're
One
still
of them,
mad.
yeah. Oh, they're still very mad. I'm like, oh, ginger jokes. Never heard that one before, bro. Like, damn, straight to the heart. How could you call me soulless or say that wearing a 95-mile-an-hour fastball isn't as painful as waking up as a ginger every day? Like, oh man, that's so original. I've never heard anything like that before. It's like, as a ginger my whole life, no one's ever come after me for being a redhead. And so anyway, we traded some shots. I didn't really trade any shots back and forth. By the way, Texas baseball run ruled Texas Tech today. They only played 7 innings because we were beating them so bad. So I got some good parting shots in, and now Darth is getting involved in this dude who has 6 followers on Twitter.
You know better.
Hey, he's not here for the followers.
Yeah.
Despite what you may think, he's not on Twitter for the followers. But big day for him because he got 10 likes on that tweet about me being a ginger. which is 4 more likes than he has whole followers. So
big day.
that's a big day for him.
Big day.
Big day.
Big day.
Very big day. Yep. So yes, I was watching the game live when Texas gave up a steal to home plate. I was watching Nixon on the mound thinking, Nixon, you got to look up. Nixon, you got to look up. Because I was sitting there like calling it on the couch, like they're going to steal home. Like you can't keep that same delivery. And then here you go. Yes, and then the next day, the same kid that stole home hit a grand slam. That's Wilson, who I wanted him to hit in the chest, or not in the chest, in the rib cage, whatever. Yes, we've had a rough couple days, but we won today. We're back. We'll be fine. Everything's fine. It's all fine.
Everything is awesome.
And Texas Tech Twitter, you can suck my ginger asshole, okay? All of you.
There it is.
Yeah. See, I was gonna open up the podcast with like a very like sincere, heartfelt note on mental health.
We can still do
now
that.
Here we are. I know.
I would really like to address what you initially wanted to talk about today.
I just got to take a breath and switch gears.
Yeah, I know. You gotta mentally do it.
Yeah. Because it really is. It's been a really hard day for me. I'm gonna try really hard not to cry.
Okay, sorry.
I can do it.
I'm switching gears.
Yeah, I can do it. Hold on, sorry. An acquaintance of mine, I wouldn't call him a friend. Although not that he wasn't my friend. We played softball together. Never directly on my team, but he subbed on my softball team a fair amount. And fuck, I'm gonna cry. His brother, his older brother, is a guy that I play golf with a fair amount. He committed suicide last night. He has a little girl and a wife. And it's just a situation where it's really hard. Especially with so many people around him that really loved him, his brother included. And I just wanted to say that no matter how hard things get, I understand that life gets really fucking hard sometimes. I've been there. I've been in the shoes where I've had the tree picked out on my way home from a drive that thought if I just hit that tree hard enough, it'll look like an accident. And people will think that I'm texting and driving or something like that. But all that it does in the wake of that decision is leave people really hurt and really looking for answers. And I know that shit gets insanely hard sometimes, but it's never the answer. And regardless of the people that you have in your life, you have 3 people here that will always answer the phone, always answer a DM, always answer a text message or a phone call. If it gets to the point where you feel like making that decision is an option. And I would just beg and plead with each one of you that watches this to never make that decision. Because as easy as it seems at the time, it's never the right answer. And all it's going to do is leave a wake of extreme damage around that decision. So please let us know if you are in a position to where you're thinking about making that decision, and reach out to me, to Haley, to Ben, to the suicide hotline, to your loved ones, friends, family, whoever it is. And we'll get through it together. All right. It always gets better. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have those feelings and those thoughts, but it'll get better. It really will.
Thank
And
you.
that's all I got.
Thank you, Alex. I
Yeah, I just to
Sorry.
echo. No,
No,
you're good.
don't.
You're good, man. Don't be sorry. Just to echo what Alex said, this is something that I've uh, said a lot, is that whatever problems I, doesn't matter, whatever problems you're facing in life, a permanent solution like that is not the answer. It's not even a solution. Um, a permanent action like that is not a solution to temporary problems. Um, Problems come and go. Life is ups and downs. Um, the downs, sometimes they suck a lot, but it makes the ups and the highs all that much better. So if you're struggling during the down times, please reach out to any one of us three, close family, friends, anybody, and use them to help get you through the low times. And then when you get back up on top, uh, you guys can all celebrate the highs together. I know I've been through plenty of low times in my life, some pretty recently, and they suck. And sometimes those thoughts come creeping in, and when those happen, it's just it's better to not to. And this is easier said than done, but it's just better to not entertain them and call somebody, literally anybody, um, to help walk you through that, or just to be with you while you work through it and talk it out, and anything like that, just to make sure that you stay here where you're valued and loved by everyone, and they'll make sure that you know they get you through to the high times, and then you guys can all celebrate together and move forward, um, because at the end of the day, your life is important, and you have multiple people around you that love and care for you, and just want to see the best uh, for you, and would love for you just to continue to be around.
I always think about a song. One of my favorite songs. It says, "Does it always get better? Is that just something they say to help you get through it?" And it really does always get better. It true. I think about all the things that I would have missed out on. One being the little girl and my fiance in the other room right now. If I would have made the decision that I wanted to make, that seemed like it was the only option when I was contemplating that decision. And I'm so fucking glad that it didn't come to that, and that I had the support system around me to get through it. Because I'm not just saying this as something that, is cliche, or is something that is just helping you get through the time that you're getting through right now. It truly does get better. It always gets better. So hang in there, put one foot in front of the other, and just keep fighting the good fight, and it'll get better. So that's all I got. And we're here for you. We love you. Tell somebody you love them, right? We say it every week.
We mean
Tell
it.
somebody you love them.
It's not just something that we say. We mean it every week.
In fact, what you could do right now, and I'll say it at the end of the podcast again, text somebody right now that you haven't talked to in a while, somebody that you love, and tell them you love them. Do it right now. Okay, let's move on.
I'll do it.
All right. So this week, I guess the past couple of weeks, we took a break last week. Past couple of weeks, more things in Ukraine have popped off. We had numbers, I think, come out about Russian losses. So I think a source close to the Kremlin accidentally leaked Russian casualties, which are up in the 10,000 mark of Russian casualties. So Ukrainians have inflicted 10,000 casualties on the Russian invasion force and upwards of like 16,000 injuries, wounded, anything like that. They have pushed the Russians away from the capital, Kyiv. If I'm remembering correctly, then this is the first time since the invasion started that the Russians have actually had to take up defensive positions around Kyiv. So that's happening around Kyiv right now. Mariupol and the Donbass region are still in heavy fighting over there. Not too much. I don't really know too much about numbers and everything that's going on over there. A Russian warship that was docked in one of the port cities, I don't remember exactly which one, got blown up. The Ukrainians blew up that, so the Russians were very excited. They were like, "Oh yeah, look, we put our warship in the harbor, blah blah blah," and then like 2 weeks later, it blew up. So um, it's a big propaganda hit for the Russians right there. Um, let's see what else is going on that I can remember. Russia is still imposing, social media sanctions unless it comes out of the Kremlin. Putin is just getting more and more angry.
Did you see that Putin said that the West is canceling, quote unquote, canceling Russia?
Yeah, I did see that. So now Putin thinks that him and his country have become a victim of cancel culture, which you haven't. You invaded a country that no reason to, and so
Well,
everyone's like,
Ben, they're denazifying Ukraine.
yeah,
Meanwhile, Russian soldiers are spraying swastikas on bridges and retaining walls in the Ukraine. So
yeah,
obviously, and no, we're not using cancel culture. Putin is saying that he's trying to use cancel culture as a way to say, well, the West is canceling Russia because we're denazifying Ukraine. So why isn't everyone behind us? And
yeah. Well, it's because we all know that there's like the entirety of Ukraine is not full of Nazis, and your troops spraying swastikas and stuff on retaining walls and bridges, and then trying to blame it on Ukrainians isn't working out too well for you. Um, I think I saw something recently that like a a regiment of like Russian troops like fucking ran their commander over on purpose because he fucking did some shit that they didn't agree with.
yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing that I'm not getting numb to the Ukraine Russia deal, but it's wars like this are slow as they go.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 weeks are going to be like where you see a majority of the action. And then as we get into we just got through week 5. I think we enter week 6 now of this Russia attempt to take over Ukraine. It's pretty much more of the same. Like,
Yeah, and nothing new is really happening. The only big development, I guess, on NATO's side is that if Russia decided to use chemical warfare or a small battlefield tactical nuke, then that would be it. That's our hard line in the sand. We'll get involved.
which they've been talking about since week 2, which is pretty much more of the same. We're not going to inflict the no-fly zone. If they violate, if they commit an act against Article 5, right? Yeah, Article 5,
yeah.
which basically is the agreement that we have as a NATO country to say if another country A violates our country and commits an act of war against a NATO country, then it's basically committing an act of war against all of us. So it's pretty much been more of the same. The only real thing that I have like noteworthy on this is they continue to bomb like residential communities. Kindergartens have been one of them. That not a pregnancy center. What's the word that I'm looking for? A hospital, basically housing pregnant mothers. And most recently, what I've found particularly disgusting, which humans are going to human, is there's been people showing up into, say, countries like Poland or places where these Ukrainian refugees are fleeing to. And all of these refugees are fleeing to these countries and saying, hey, we need a place to stay. So what some people have been capitalizing on as complete piece of shit human beings has been showing up and saying, hey, Ukrainian mother and child, I have a place for for this mother and this daughter to stay. And then they take them and then they either abuse them or they try to get them into sex trafficking, which those fucking human beings that are doing that, I hope you fucking get scabies and then you get hit by a bus and then somehow you survive that bus running over you and you're making a miraculous comeback and then someone sprays acid in your eyes and you lose your sight.
God damn.
And then they take 2 pots and pans and bang them on either side of your head and then you lose your hearing. And right when you're all discombobulated and you've lost your sight and your sound and you're bleeding from your ears, someone puts a fucking bullet in your head. Fuck you, dude. Are you kidding me? A fucking mother and daughter refugee fleeing from a fucking war-torn country. You're going to take them and abuse them sexually or try to put them into fucking sex trafficking? Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. There isn't a punishment that I could come up with that would be justifiable to fuck you harder than what I've just listed. Fuck you, you fucking scumbag piece of fucking shit. Fuck you. I mean, are you kidding me?
That's the literal worst of humanity right there.
You're going to sexually abuse a little girl who has just come from a war-torn country, who left her father behind and just fled a war-torn country, and then you're going to sexually abuse her? I'm sorry. I fucking wish the worst of the world onto that person.
Yeah, just makes me sick, dude.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Actually sick, because just the evil that people are capable of, even at times like this, just disgusting.
Yeah,
just absolutely gross.
Living in a little bit of a dark place today, but I could read an article laying out everything that I just listed about someone who sex trafficked a young girl from a war-torn country, and I'd be like, not sure the crime fit the punishment. I think we should have turned it up a couple notches. Could we maybe pulled a few fingernails or like chopped off a few toes or like, yeah. Anyway, sorry. We can continue. I didn't have that one listed in the talking points first.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So anyway, that's pretty much a small update on Ukraine and what's happening over there. Let's see. We can, you know what? Let's Ham, will you pull up that first TikTok link I sent you?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to talk about this, because we've mentioned stuff like this before on the show, and I want to dive into this a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do my best to just.
And hopefully it'll pop up.
What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna. What I can
drag it over.
Either drag it over, or I can try to share my screen.
Nah, just drag it over. Should be probably the best way for it to work, so everybody can hear it.
Okay. Make sure, and I gotta throw away our names. Oh my god! One day I'll get this. One day, I swear. I'm gonna leave chat on though.
You can do it.
Oops, I forgot I have TikTok muted.
Okay, well, we'll talk about this one first, and it's not the right one, but
it isn't. Oh, okay, my bad.
No, the other one.
Okay, well,
it's okay. We'll do this one first.
Okay.
Joe Biden's Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Jackson has been in confirmation hearings for 3 days, during which time she has refused to say when she thinks life begins. She pled ignorance when she was asked what a woman is, and she defended her extremely light sentencing record for pedophiles. It has not been a great first week for her, and Democrats are now scrambling to stop the bleeding, as the chairman of the proceedings, Dick Durbin, demonstrated yesterday when he refused to let the judge answer a simple question from Ted Cruz.
Your child pornography possession crime was egregious in the court's view. Okay, so this is a bad one. If you're actually sentencing defendants, you said this was egregious. What did you sentence Stewart for? The guidelines said 97, 121 months. Prosecutor said 97 months. You said it's egregious. 6,700 images. You come in with 57
Time
months.
has expired.
Why
Senators
did you
use 2
sentence
minutes
him to
over the
just
allotted.
57 months? In the Stewart case, do you want to address that?
Does she want to address that? No, she does not want to address that. Judge Jackson had already lost her temper as Republicans focused in on her strange record of letting pedophiles off the hook. But she didn't even have the chance to address the record by responding to Cruz's question because Dick Durbin started talking over both her and Cruz and did everything that he could to move on.
You're not recognized, Senator. Senator Coons.
You don't want her to answer that question?
You wouldn't allow her any.
Mr. Chairman, she may answer the question. I've asked her why she sentenced Stewart.
You've gone over the time, Senator, by 2 minutes.
Why she? Because you've interrupted me for 2 minutes, Mr. Chairman. Will you allow her to answer the question, or do you not want the American people to hear why, with someone she described as an egregious?
There comes a point, Senator, where you get a little bit.
Chairman Durbin, will you allow her to answer the question?
You won't allow her to answer.
I will happily allow her to. Why are you not allowing her to answer the question? There's not another senator here that you've not allowed her to answer the question. I'm not asking another question, but allow her to answer the question, Chairman Durbin.
This is really masterful stuff here from Cruz. Every time Durbin tries to get the last word to insinuate, dishonestly, that Cruz doesn't want Ketanji Jackson to answer the question, Cruz cuts back in. No, you won't let her answer the question. And it's back and forth, and it sounds like a middle school playground, but Cruz is doing it for a reason. After Cruz makes a scene and the clip goes viral, there is no mistaking it. Cruz wants her to answer the question. He wants to give her time to do that. Durbin wants her to keep her mouth shut. And Durbin's right to do that because he knows that Ketanji Jackson's answers on pedophiles, on life, on womanhood, they are not going to play very well in Peoria. Joe Biden's Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Jackson has been in confirmation hearings for 3 days.
So, wow. Yeah. Holy shit. Okay.
A lot to unpack there.
Lot to unpack there. I think it's very interesting. So this is who President Biden has nominated for the Supreme Court. And this is as that person from the Daily Wire, which is Ben Shapiro's
Exactly, yeah.
podcast thing in there. So they're way more conservative than majority of the United States, but here and there I like watching some of their stuff because it makes some valid points and all that kind of stuff. But that's who President Biden nominated for the Supreme Court, is a woman who, as yet during confirmation hearings, to acknowledge when she thinks life begins, as far as abortion talks, which has been and probably will be a big point for a long time. She hasn't commented on what it means to be a woman. So that's in regards to, the LGBTQ and trans community, which is also a big point. And apparently she is very lenient on pedophiles, as we saw in there. So for what that one case that Senator Cruz was talking about, the minimum punishment for what that guy did was recommended minimum punishment was 97 months. And by the end of it, she said it was egregious what he did, but she didn't even meet the recommended minimum punishment for that guy. She would 40 some odd months lower than what the minimum suggested punishment was. So it's no wonder that the Democrats are trying to hem and haw and not have her answer any questions, because it's just going to keep looking bad for them when it comes
Haley,
time for voting.
do you have anything to say on this? Because I don't want to take anything. I feel like
I
and
You have
I
thoughts
can-
and feelings, I could tell.
I'm reading about her because this is new to me.
and
I think
I
it's
can
dangerous.
I can kind of dive in a little bit too, because I actually think it's good to have a person of her outlook or a person of her beliefs on the Supreme Court, because the whole idea of the Supreme Court is to have different members
Yeah.
that have different views and outlooks, and especially at the Supreme Court level, it's extremely important that you're not living in an echo chamber, right?
Right.
Because it can very much turn in the direction of, well, the Supreme Court is basically a higher power that just basically takes all of these issues and makes their own decisions, and it can be extremely dangerous. So as far as the pedophilia conviction, I don't know all of the intrinsic details of that specific case. What I will say in her defense is that criminal cases are extremely difficult, and without knowing all of the ins and outs and specifics of that case, or maybe what the plea deals were, he might have taken a plea deal to where he pled guilty for a lower sentencing. Again, I don't know if that's what happened. I'm just saying there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to the legal system, to where people typically get up in arms and they start trying to turn not what are the words that I'm looking for here? They try to get upset or up in arms over sentencing or plea deals or something to that nature, when the court system has basically made an agreement with that person that has said, hey, look, if you want to keep this out of court, or if you want to make this as easy as possible for all parties so we get a plea bargain, we'll give you a lower sentencing. Again, not saying that that's what happened, but it very well could be.
Yeah. I'm trying to read about that portion. I'm trying to find. So this is why I say it's dangerous is about the Daily Wire is what her actual, like, they didn't actually tell information on her her viewpoints on what constitutes a woman from her viewpoint and what constitutes life either. They just said they kind of made it sound like
they just said that in that, like, for that moment in her hearing, that she didn't answer those questions, but I'm sure at some point she has already answered those.
Okay. That's what I'm trying to find.
But yeah, so that's why I was saying, like, you got to take all that with a grain of salt from the Daily, probably multiple grains of salt from the Daily Wire, because it is a very hard right-leaning news source, I guess.
Well, and so she's also a Democratic nominee for the Supreme Court, right? So if she would stand up there and say, well, there's two genders, biological male and biological female, which I agree with. I think that if you're born with a penis, you're a male, and if you're born with a vagina, you're a female. But when she comes from the Democratic Party, right, wrong, or indifferent, she can't sit up there and upset the apple cart with her Democratic constituents and say, well, yeah, obviously this is that and the other one's that. And so what she's going to sit up there and say is, I'm not a biologist, which is what she said, which, again, I think it's bullshit, but she's playing politics. Like, a Republican could sit up there and say the exact opposite, and it might not necessarily be what he or she believes, but you're playing politics. You're sitting up there and you're standing in line with your party, right, left, or center. So yeah, I think that she's smart enough. I don't think that she truly sits up there and says, well, there's 48 different genders. She's not a dummy. She knows that if you're born with a penis, you're a male, and if you're born with a vagina, you're a female. But again, she's not going to sit in front of the Supreme Court nomination system and say that, because it will upset Democrats.
Yeah.
And same story basically when it goes to life and heartbeat and when a life and abortion and blah, blah, blah. She's not going to sit up there like, this isn't a trial at this point in time. This is a nomination process. So she's going to say what she needs to say to get nominated, because if she starts pissing off Democrats and Democrats vote against her, now shit's going to get sideways really quick, because as long as she gets all the votes from the Democrats, they did the same stuff with Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Or is that right? Marjorie Taylor?
The one psychotic fucking Republican?
No. The last one that got nominated, not the, no, that is the psychotic Republican. The last Republican that got nominated to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember her name right now.
She has a 3-letter acronym name. It was like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but not Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah, it was. I
R.I.P.
cannot for the life of me remember.
R.I.P. RGB. By the way, one of my favorite Democrats of all time, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
RBG.
Yeah. Anyway, the last Republican that went through this same nomination process sat up there, and the Republicans sang her praises, and the Democrats attacked her and attacked her and attacked. This whole process is bullshit anyway. You shouldn't be forced to sit up there and be ridiculed by one party while being praised by the other party. Fucking, I'm not going to be able to. This is why I should really be home an hour in advance to research all this stuff. There is a Democratic member of not the Supreme Court, but of the Senate, who talked about, he gave a really beautiful message.
It was Amy Coney Barrett.
Amy Coney Barrett. Yes. Last one. This gentleman is a Democrat he's a black gentleman from maybe Kentucky, South Carolina, somewhere down in that region. He gave a really heartfelt and beautiful message about how it was so beautiful to watch her sit where she sits, because he knows all the trials and tribulations that she's been through as a black woman. And it was one of the only time, I shouldn't say only, one of the few times I've watched someone kind of talk about, and I don't even want to call it the race card, but talk about race in general in politics, where I really thought, you know what, this is really a heartfelt message. Like, this really is beautiful that a black woman is going to sit on the Supreme Court. And I've talked about it in the past, and I'll say it again 100 times over. I don't think the only reason she should be nominated as a Supreme Court justice is because she's a female and she's black. Again, I've said it again, where if you came to me for a modeling competition for men and you said, well, hey, we're going to turn down Chad and Jerry and Tom, even though they're better looking than you and they would really be a better fit for the calendar, but we really need a ginger presence in this calendar. So we're going to go ahead and give you the nod over those three. I'd be like, well, I don't fucking want that. Like, if I'm not as pretty as they are, you should probably put them in the fucking calendar. You know what I mean? Now we're talking about two completely different things, but you see what I'm saying.
The same principle.
Pick the best person for the job, right? That's it. It would be a disservice for the first black female to get nominated to the Supreme Court just because she's a black female. That would be a slap in the face to black females. Like, oh, so you're only picking us because we fit your narrative or we fit your demographic? Like, that's bullshit. Pick the best lady for the job. And I do think she's the best lady for the job, quite honestly. It's important to have those different viewpoints in life. Could you poke holes and could you sit there and throw shit at her all day? Yeah, it happens on every fucking nomination like this. But I'm not concerned by having her on the Supreme Court justice system.
Yeah. Wade Henderson. I'm just trying to do quick research while we're kind of
Yeah, I think Wade Henderson is the guy that I'm talking
president.
about.
Yeah, no, president of the Nonprofit Leadership Conference of Civil and Human Rights, which is huge. Her background is absolutely extraordinary, and her demonstration mastery of the law is second to none. So I don't think it's a question of her credentials to be a part of this. I think the reason why that TikTok was so aggressive was that narrative that you introduced, like Alex, like because there's this narrative that people are convinced that just because she's black and she's female and a little bit actually
And
younger
democratic.
and democratic,
Yeah.
it's like this fucking like it's pushing the liberal like, you know, like it's not. I don't think it goes that deep. I don't think it's I don't think, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of flaws in the Democratic Party, but like from what I'm trying to research, I think she is just good for the job, and I think reading it into that type of like sinister narrative is going to put us in another fucking polarized
Yeah.
shit.
Well, the only reason that I like sent that one to pull up is just because of like how aggressive it was. And then it, you know, got everybody thinking and got us on this track of like, well, let's not be so damn aggressive and let's, you know, take a look at it. And I did a little bit of quick research here as well. Talking about, because she was basically almost in the same boat as Amy Coney Barrett was when the Democrats started talking to her about her religion, because Amy Coney Barrett was on a lot of religious school boards. Well, so was Ketanji Jackson as well. And when asked about it, Ketanji Jackson said, this was a quote from her, she said, "My personal religious beliefs and stuff will not come into effect as I judge, you know, the law," which is great, is what I said multiple times when we've talked about this before, is the people that are on the Supreme Court and any court for that matter need to have the ability to do just that. Take their personal belief and religious beliefs and opinions out of it and look at it just within the scope of the law.
Well,
and
separation
I
of
think
church and state as well.
as well, which if you get into some other smaller towns and stuff, that is smaller courts, that is really hard pressed to
Tennessee.
have happen, especially in the Bible Belt of the South. But anyways,
Great.
but I think Amy Coney Barrett and Ketanji Jackson both said the same thing. They were like, my religion is not going to come into play, my religious beliefs and personal beliefs are not going to come into play when judging the law.
And we talked about it when Biden said it, when he started looking to fill this role, when he said, "I'm going to seek out a black female to fill this role." Ben and I both said it at the time. Okay, well, don't go into filling this role with the preface that they have to be black and they have to be female.
Yeah.
Because that's extremely counterproductive to the role that you're trying to fill. You shouldn't go into filling a role at a job and say, well, they have to be black and they have to be female. Well, what if the perfect candidate happens to be an Asian man, you know, or an Asian female for that matter, right? Or any other demographic in the world? What if it's, I don't know, I'm just playing devil's advocate, a female, a white female who's grown up in the most ethnic urban areas of Chicago, you know, on the south side of Chicago, who understands the ethnic community better than most, you know, and can serve the ethnic community. So is she the wrong candidate because she's black and she's female? Not
in the slightest.
Second. Not a second. But, and do I think she's the wrong, this is going to sound really, Kajani, is that right? Ketanji, I'm sorry. Ketanji, is she the wrong role, or is she the wrong person to fill this role? No, I don't think that she is. I agree with her nomination. I truly do, wholeheartedly. But Biden has opened this door for the Ted Cruzes of the world to say, well, the only reason she's here is because she's black and she's female. And Biden said that was the only one who was going to meet the criteria to fill this role.
Yeah, that was a very foot and mouth thing for Biden to say. Like, he should have just been like, I'm going to look for the best candidate. And then voila, here's Ketanji Jackson.
And he probably said that because he already had her in mind.
Yeah.
If I had to completely take a stab in the dark, he probably had her in mind when he said that. But at the same time, don't say that you have to meet the Black and the female criteria to fill this role,
Yeah.
because that's not what's best for the American people. If that person is Black and is female, and that's the best person to fill the role, by God, I'm proud as an American to have a Black female advocate on the Supreme Court justice system. I think it's beautiful. That's what America is. It's a melting pot. And we should have people from all walks of life coming into such a high power of the Supreme Court justice system to serve that role. I'm 1,000% for it. But don't say going into it that that's the only person we're going to pick and they have to meet X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Gender, racial, whatever it is. Like, just pick the best person. Just pick the best person for the role.
It's just such a bad look to put that out there, and then it's just terrible.
Yeah. I'm for her, though. I think she handled all of the grilling that they've all had to face pretty well. I wish she would have been a little bit non-conforming to her party with some of her answers, but that's what that would be so outside the norm for the ones who have been seated before her. You have to play politics, unfortunately, which is so fucked up about our current system. But anyway,
100%. You have any more thoughts and feelings about this, Haley? Yes, come on,
get in there if you want to get in there.
So, though, I totally agree with Biden's blunder on kind of being like, it reminds me of corporate, like this is going to be our diversity initiative,
and then they proceed to pick zero diversity.
Well, no, they do, but then it's just,
I mean, saying, sorry, I'm going to get way off track on that. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's not where I was going with that. When I took a course in industrial and organizational psychology, and it was the fucking most boring course of my life, but we talked about how organizations and companies do these types of diversity initiatives and like stereotype, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
If he had framed it differently, with the thought in his mind, we need to bring marginalized voices to the justice system because it is important to hear these voices in a system that has systematically targeted marginalized voices. And that's just, I mean, you can't say that that's not a thing in our world. It's just black and white statistics, etc. Heavy police presences in larger, like, African American, Hispanic neighborhoods. Anyways, like that's the systematic racism points that will go down a different road.
I was gonna say there's a lot to argue on that,
right?
But you can absolutely point to the fact that black or marginalized groups do get heavier sentences for the same crimes that white people commit. That is
Correct.
One thing I will concede 100%. Police present in urban neighborhoods, higher crime rate, blah blah blah. But
right.
We can just agree on that on its face.
On the face value, we don't have to go deeper into
Correct.
It.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll
because it's not my point.
Exactly.
At its core. But I feel like having marginalized voices in this like in the justice system to at least apply input in perspective is important. Had he just not framed it as such, we wouldn't really truly be having this conversation. And Biden has continually kind of done this thing where he kind of speaks a little bit too what's the word? Word vomit-y, in my opinion. Like, he just kind of lets shit fall out of his mouth, and I'm like, don't stop.
It's just a fact, Jack. It's just a fact, Jack.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. I'm like, ooh.
You just got to recognize that. I mean, come on, man.
Like,
come on. Give it a little time, man.
Right.
Come on.
To like Sloppy's point, it should just be who will do the best at the job, and that's totally true.
Yeah.
And if it just and Alex and Ben, both of you said, if it just happens to be this woman, fantastic. But I truly think like if he had never just fucking said that,
If he had not said that at all, we would have been just fine. If he'd been like, "I'm gonna go find the best person for the job," and then was like, "Here's Ketanji Jackson," we'd have been like, "Oh, sick."
It would make me
Right.
more proud as an American for her to be up in the running against like 5 men that look like me, right? And then here she is, black female, and she gets put up in this, final job interview sequence, and then she wins. I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude. She beat out all those white dudes. Fuck yes, go. Like,
it would feel more dignified in its
dope.
own right.
Exactly.
It would.
Like,
I don't want to be the type of person that gets offended for other people because that annoys the shit out of me. But if I was in her shoes, I feel like if the president had been like, "I'm gonna look specifically for a black female," and then was like, "Pow."
It's like a token black character in any show.
Exactly.
I'd be like, "What? How are you gonna? You like cool? I'm nominated, but also I feel undermined in my nomination because I fit the criteria that you were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not just the token person that you need to put on there. I want to be the person that's best for the job.
Right. Like how tokens in South
like,
Park.
Literally in South Park is
yes, exactly. And that's a play and it's purposeful. And I love the creators of South Park for that. But yeah, it's exactly that. Like it's like that's the hard part about this entire situation is like you want to include every voice that deserves to be heard and that is intellectual and worth to hear and like has good input, blah 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 blah, perfect for the job. But you immediately devalue their viewpoints sometimes because like
you put them in a pigeonhole.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. And I love seeing women thrive in male dominated environments like this. I want nothing but the best, and I'm sure like after reading about her, I love her. Like she's really cool from what I can read and see so far. I hope she does fantastic in whatever the fuck she does with this. I hope that she does speak for all the marginalized communities that come into question in front of her courtroom. But as being the one female here, 2 dudes talking about this, like it's not gonna look great for y'all because then you can pick at it, and it just throws it all away. I don't know.
No, and I've already
like tried not to pick at it.
I've already said I'm all for it. Like I think she's a good hire. I feel like people forget that prejudice works for, but prejudice works also against. So you can be prejudiced towards something and you could be prejudiced against something. Mm-hmm. So if you're prejudiced against something, then obviously, and it doesn't have to be racial, it can be the coach's kid on a baseball team, right? You're prejudiced against the other first baseman because your son on the baseball team plays first base, right? So it's like you're going into the competition with a leg up on the rest of the competition solely because of your gender and your race.
Mm-hmm.
And who wants to win a competition going into a race or a competition against others when already knowing that they're going to be the winner just because of your gender and your race? Like, I don't want to win because of my gender and my race. I want to win because I'm the best. And when it comes to the stakes of the Supreme Court, we should all want the best person to win. That should just be who we're looking for. And again, I don't think she's
I don't think she's a bad pick at all.
No, I don't. I hope in my dreams that she was up against 5 other white dudes, like I said earlier, and that we picked her because she was the best. And fuck you other white dudes who had this leg up on the competition because you are white and you're a male. And that's what historically our politics have been full of, old white males. And now you're bringing a new voice, a new face, a new gender into this whole mix. I love it. I truly do. I just hope that she's on the surface as cool as she seems or as different as she seems politics wise than her other counterparts.
And that's where my hope comes in.
Yeah. The only way we'll know that is until we get our first Supreme Court justice case.
Yeah. I hope that all of this was, her just playing politics like she needed to, and then what she actually believes and stands for comes out.
About to say, I hope the same. And I actually kind of thought of a point. Sorry to cut you off, Ben. Like with kind of to switch a little bit from that, I, as a female, am scared for the coming years because of how many states right now are throwing female reproduction laws, essentially. Like Roe v. Wade is actually being like in question all of a sudden again.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like I have been taking birth control since I was 14 because I have a genetic disorder that runs in my family, and taking birth control allows me to fight that disorder, endometriosis. Like, and so if like it now my insurance doesn't cover it because Tennessee is that way. So like you know what I mean? So I hope that with a female presence that there will be actual female rights like this being discussed and more advocated for, along the lines of that, and then also abortions and etc. Like I will stand by the statistic till the day I die. People who hate Planned Parenthood understand that under 3% of their actual conductions in Planned Parenthood is for abortions. Like,
yeah,
you know,
their whole thing is not abortion.
Yeah, so it's reproductive health and education. So
education, yeah.
So like I really truly hope to see a female stand by actual female rights rather than a female, like, because there are females in Congress and the Senate that like literally aren't fighting for this, and they hate their own people essentially.
Yeah,
but
most of them. Well, that's not the same. But like I agree with you on that. I don't feel that like the states should be governing what females are doing with their bodies at all, no matter what the state's governor or personal belief is on abortion. Whether they agree with it or not, they should not be encroaching upon individual rights. Because we've talked about this before. There's many different reasonings for people getting abortions.
Yep.
Do I agree with all of them? No, but it's not my friggin' place to tell you what to do with your body and that kind of like, and that like sphere of or whatever. There's health reasons, there's a bunch of stuff. So I just think the states need to back off a lot. Because they're getting way too intrusive into people's personal lives.
The only time I feel as a man I have the right to step in and have a decision making in this process is if a female tells a male, and there's plenty of documented cases of this, you can Google it. If you leave me, so let's say Ben's a female, right? And Ben's my girlfriend. Or sorry, I'm the female. Okay, I'm the female. Sorry, Ben. So Ben's my boyfriend, and I'm the female, and I'm pregnant. And Ben says,
"Why did either one of us have to be female? We have a
whatever."
Hello.
I was gonna use Haley, but I don't want to use Haley, so it's easier to use me and you. Okay.
All right.
Whatever. I'm the girl. You're the boyfriend, right, Ben?
Sure.
And I'm pregnant with your child, and I'm 4 or 5 months pregnant, 6 months, whatever. And you tell me, Alex, I don't want to be with you anymore. You're crazy. I'm leaving this relationship. And I say, Ben, if you leave, I'm going to abort your child and we will not have this baby. So you better stay in this relationship or else I will abort this child. And there are lots of documented cases of this exact type situation. So you enter into some messy realms to where, yes, the female should ultimately have the choice, especially 100,000% if there's going to be health complications. I've said it on this podcast 100 times. If a doctor tells a mother who's expected to deliver a child, if you deliver this child, there's a high chance that you will not survive. And there's a high chance that your baby will not survive. You might not survive, but your baby might survive. Or your baby might not survive, or you might survive. I do not have a fucking pinky toe to stand on in that conversation. That should be up to the mother and the doctor. 100%. I should not have a fucking thing to say about it. But if we enter the situation like I discussed earlier,
It
where
becomes
Ben
a
is the
manipulation
father,
tool.
and you're manipulating me to stay in the relationship so I do not have an abortion to our child, yes, then you enter into some really fucking sticky grounds to where the public system should have the option to step in and say, hey, listen, you can't abort this child just because you're pissed off at your boyfriend for leaving you. So there are 1,000 scenarios, which is why it should extremely be taken case by case by case. And ultimately, the mother should have the decision, as long as she's not using it as a manipulative reason to get a man to stay with her, or any of the other cases that you might wander into that are similar to that.
Another point to that as well is, well, not so much point. Yeah, Sloppy. The fucking
That's rough, Sloppy.
yeah, no, yeah, I got thoughts and feelings about that entire situation. But well, first of all, if a woman is using her body as a whole, child included, to manipulate, she probably shouldn't be a mother in the first place. She's obviously not mature enough or secure enough to have a child, to take care of a child, because those manipulation factors cannot, that's already ingraining generational trauma already.
Yeah.
I could go down that road. But another thing about this is women seeking hysterectomies and literally having to get approval from boyfriend, husband, fiance, whomever the fuck. Not only that, and then if they're single, the OBGYNs can be like, well, what about your future husband? That's or
No.
Or if you're gay,
we're
you know,
into major
Yeah.
what ifs,
yeah, no, it drives me nuts. But that's also driven by the states, view,
these states are trying to the rules they're putting out with this. They're trying to go regress, just undermine literally everything that women fought for through suffrage and all these other rights. From that point on, they're just trying to be like, that was cool, that was a fun little experiment for you guys. Why don't we go back to before that, when you didn't have any rights?
Well, and let's not live in the world of hypotheticals, right?
Yeah,
Which
you
in
can't.
the science community should be so far from your train of thought. Well, what if we give them the IV and they accidentally have a collapsed vein, and then that turns into a blood clot? No, they need the IV because they're fucking dehydrated or they're dying. So give them the IV. You can't live in the world of hypotheticals
Just
in
deal
the
with
medical
problems
field
as they come.
So if a woman wants a hysterectomy, you shouldn't be in a position to say, well, what if your future husband?
right?
Well, then,
I'd
bitch,
be
you
like,
shouldn't
exactly.
marry me.
Exactly.
Yeah, at this point, that's a private conversation between that person and whoever the fuck they end up dating later on down the road, to be like, look, I don't have a uterus anymore, so if we're gonna have kids, it's gonna be adoption or some shit.
Yeah.
And that's part of the thing that's so frustrating with all of this is if you live in the world of hypotheticals, and there are so many thousands of different situations. I have a good friend. I obviously won't say his name. He had a relationship with a girl for about a month. She told him she was pregnant, and he was fully expecting to be a father and making arrangements to live with this girl. And then one day she texted him and said, I got the situation taken care of. We're not having a child anymore. No need for you to move in with me. You're not going to be a father anymore.
That should have been a conversation they had before.
Yeah, he still to this day has dreams where he's meeting his unborn child. It still to this day eats him. He ended up developing a lot of addiction issues. He's never told me that it was because of this situation or it wasn't because of this situation. Thank God he's clean, healthy, sober now. But that's the situation where you can say, and I agree to an extent, that it's a woman's body and her choice. But at what point in time do we take the father's emotional stability, emotional health into the situation to where that's his child too. It's not like he, forced her into this situation.
It
So
takes two to tango.
she could have had this child and given it to him and completely dipped off the face of the earth. And I have 1,000% confidence that this man would have raised this child 100% by himself. Super strong emotional support family. So I don't know. And I don't have the right answer. I don't know how, I don't think that there is a black and white definition to this.
It's not.
But at the same time, I understand a woman's body, a woman's rights, and a woman's choice. But at a certain point in time, you do need to take into factor and into account the father in the situation.
Mm-hmm. I think, like Sloppy said, it's a situational topic, and for the most part, it should be the woman's choice. But in it being the woman's choice, if there's, and this is just my personal thoughts and feelings on this, if there's no medical, devastating medical thing like death or serious injury or something that'll come from a pregnancy or any other thing like that, I feel that morally the both people should sit down and have a discussion about it, because it takes two people to create a life, and to just put all of the decision on one person sometimes isn't fair.
Yep.
Like in that situation that Alex just described.
Yeah, no, I think in this point, you have to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But ultimately, but ultimately giving it to the woman's choice, yes, but after a conversation is had.
Yeah.
I feel like in your friend's situation, that woman, she shouldn't have just fucking, especially if he was
Yeetus fetus deletus.
Yeah, especially if he was expressing excitement to her, she definitely should have come to him and be like, hey, I understand, you are excited, but I'm not ready to do this right now, and then do it, rather than, hey, I yeeted that bitch, sorry.
Yeah.
There could have been a lot of prevention work done there.
But all she has to do is walk into a clinic and say, hey, I don't know the father. I can't handle this. I'm not emotionally set up. I'm not financially set up.
Right.
And that's where, again, I don't have the answer. This is an extremely into the weeds type discussion conversation where you could get into 1,000 different stories and different situations, but it needs to be different than what it's set up to be now.
100%. I think the main thing that I'm getting at is that the states should not be deciding for the women what is best.
Correct.
In any aspect of their reproductive health or baby making abilities. I think that's the be all and end all, is the states should not be deciding this for people.
Yep.
Last thing I want to talk about. The last thing I want to talk about is that other TikTok that I sent you.
Yes.
Because I have feelings about this, or thoughts and feelings about this. And we've discussed this this type of thing before on the podcast.
Which one is this?
This is the one about the bailouts, basically.
Oh God.
Yeah. But this will be different from most things because it comes from a person that I typically don't agree with on a lot of stuff, but I did agree with what they were doing on this one.
Okay, I'll swing it on over.
Gracias.
Billionaire founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos' other company, the space firm Blue Origins, is expected to get a $10 billion bailout from Congress.
This bill contains a $10 billion check for Jeff Bezos' company, Blue Origins. There is a major piece of legislation on the floor of the Senate, and I suspect you haven't heard about it. It's called the Competitiveness Bill. And it has a lot of good things in it, but there are two provisions which to me are absolutely outrageous, and I'm trying to get rid of. Number one, this bill includes $53 billion in corporate welfare to microchip companies like Intel. In other words, the taxpayers are going to give them, with no strings attached, no matter how much money they make, you're going to get $53 billion blank check. These companies over the years have made whole lots of money. They are very profitable. They've engaged in stock buybacks. They're doing just fine. They do not need corporate welfare from the taxpayers. If they do well, taxpayers should benefit as well. That's issue number one. Issue number two, even more outrageous, if you can believe it. This bill contains a $10 billion check for Jeff Bezos's company, Blue Origins, his space company. Now, Jeff Bezos is worth about $180 billion. If he wants to go to the moon or Mars, that's his business. He can afford to pay for it. Taxpayers of this country do not need to subsidize Jeff Bezos' space travel. Let's get those amendments. I'm trying to get some amendments passed to get those provisions out. Keep you abreast.
Lord. Ben, you look so concerned.
I'm still just listening to it.
Oh, I forget.
It's very behind.
Is it? Ah, shit.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Ben, we're gonna have to go in on the Texas Tech fan base when we're done.
Oh God,
they're at it again. Using improper terms of your. I've already got a tweet fired up that I'm ready to send, brother. I'm fucking ready.
I'm just looking.
God damn it! Where's Combo?
I'm just rent free in that one dude's head already. He's
super.
Dude. He's super.
Okay, let's get
hard
through
on
Bernie.
about my stream. But anyway,
let's get through Bernie, and then we'll sick the savages on him.
So for the most part, most of y'all know that I'm not a big Bernie Sanders supporter. I don't like a lot of his policies. They're a lot more socialist than what I would like to see happen to the country. But as far as this bill is concerned and what he's trying to do in this one, I do agree with the fact that he's trying to cut out those two parts of this competitiveness bill, which I don't know much about the competitiveness bill. Obviously, like he said, we haven't heard about it. It hasn't been freaking publicized, so I'm going to go do my own research on that. But taking out the things like the $53 billion like blank check to corporations, I think is a very good idea because, like he said, those companies like Intel make a shitload of money. Why do we as the taxpayers need to give them more? It's a private company. And like I've said before, when we talked about government bailouts back in 2008 during the recession then, and the possibility of more bailouts, I don't believe that those should be a thing. Private companies, and part of the free market, private companies, if they fail, should fail. Because for whatever reason, they don't need to go to the government to get a freaking handout to keep going. Like that's not what the government is there for. They're not there to give money to private corporations. So if you can get that removed, I think that's a good thing because I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to whatever corporation for just here's some fun money. You guys already made a shitload of money this year in profits, but here goes some more just for poops and chuckles. Like, no. The other thing that I agree with, obviously, in there is him trying to take out the $10 billion to go to Jeff Bezos. Why the fuck does Jeff Bezos need $10 billion from the government? The man is worth, like he said, he's like $180 billion or some stupid shit. Like, he's worth so much money. Like Bernie said, like if he wants to go to friggin' Mars or the moon or wants to start this friggin' space company or the space whatever and send rockets to space, he has the money to foot that himself. He doesn't need government money to do it because he's not a government organization like NASA is. NASA gets government money because it's a federal friggin' entity. But like Elon Musk doesn't get federal money to do SpaceX, so why the fuck does Jeff Bezos get to get a $10 billion blank check for whatever the fuck he's doing? So I think I do agree with Bernie on these two things, that those need to be removed. And I've said this before, that the government is not here for private companies to get bailouts from. If a small mom and pop shop was to be going under and they walked to the government and were like, hey, we're kind of struggling, like, can we get the bailout like you did for these guys? The government's gonna be like, get fucked. No. But if Walmart or Amazon or fucking Intel or GM or fucking Ford goes, hey, we're struggling, dog. Maybe like give us some money so we can continue. The government be like, yes, 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 yes. That's perfectly fine. It's dumb. It's undermining the whole competitive free market, and I would to like capitalist like society, in that like if you fail, you fail. Like you don't get government bailouts. Like that's the whole point. But anyway, that's my soapbox. I think it's stupid.
I don't even know. I don't even know where to start or how to end, because I could literally probably go on for about 3 hours. I'm not joking, on a monologue about this, because it's let me start with this. I've always liked Bernie as a guy. I've always said, if there's a top 3 politician list of guys that I'd want to go get a beer with on politician scale wise, Bernie would probably be number 1. I don't like a lot of his socialistic ideas, but one thing that Bernie has always been is he's always been true blue, loyal to the cause. He's never changed his outlook, his position. He's never changed his outlook on what politics should be. And one thing that Bernie realizes and has recognized for 40 plus years now is that big business is what makes this fucking American government tick.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why lobbyists are so important in the American government, and why donor dollars are what makes our politicians tick when it comes election season. And that is because they line the pockets of politicians so that it's return on investment. And in return, if I line your pockets as Raytheon to help win an investment, you're going to help line my pockets in an arms race and sending ammunition to a country that we quote unquote need to help support. That's where all of the tinfoil hats right now. I listen to a podcast called War Mode. The guys are fucking out of their minds down the conspiracy rabbit hole, but I find it interesting as fuck to listen to. They are completely convinced. Remember Hunter Biden and that laptop, and he deals with Ukraine way before the Russian-Ukraine conflict ever started? That I don't think that this is what's happening, but it's pretty fucking interesting to think about when it comes to these conspiracy theorists connecting the dots. Like, yeah, I remember Ukraine. Yeah, I remember. Oh, Hunter Biden laptop, all these dealings in Ukraine. And now Russia's invading Ukraine, and we're sending billions of dollars in humanitarian aid and missiles and ammunition and helmets to Ukraine. And who's profiting from all this? Raytheon? That's kind of interesting. You know, that's kind of a point to talk about. Again, I don't genuinely think that Russia invaded Ukraine as an arms race, but again,
well,
you can start to think about some pretty interesting cases.
Yeah,
and it all stems from the fact that these corrupt motherfuckers, to begin with, give you the rabbit holes to dive down because you cannot trust them.
Yeah.
It was the same thing when we talked about vaccines, right? And MK Ultra and acid experiments and brothels where they fed doses of MDMA to see how they reacted, right?
Yeah.
If our government had a squeaky clean track record, it'd be a lot easier to look at all of these conspiracies and say, nah, probably not it, because they've always had the best interests of Americans at heart. But now we find ourselves in another fucking situation where it's like, do they really have our best interests at heart? And what's been the one thing, the one X factor across all of these spectrums that has driven the corruption of American politics? It is money.
Mm-hmm.
Always. That's what it's always been. So here we find ourselves again. Why is it that big business finds themselves most profitable in a time of American economic disparity? Maybe because money is what drives American politics. The American ecosystem is directly correlated to American politics.
It's true.
Here we are again.
Yeah.
Again, it's different topic, same subject, right? Like every fucking time we talk about this shit. I don't understand why people don't fucking wake up a little bit. Like, Jesus Christ, it always comes down to the money. Follow the money. Follow it. And it's going to tell you why we're doing what we're doing. And here we are again.
Factuals. But yeah. I'm not gonna. I could go up on a soapbox about the war profiteering thing, but I'm not going to because we'll be here for another hour. But
watch the movie War Dogs.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Go
like the
watch
Raytheon
the
and them
movie
just
War
like
Dogs.
It's just fucking. It's that's what I was gonna say. It's like it's just like that, but it's
now people are saying that we're sending these munitions and these humanitarian aids to Western Ukraine, and they're turning around and selling it to the Russian government. I'm like, motherfucker, dude, don't just give me a break for like a week. Like, I just want a week of a break to where we don't have fucking humans being shitty people in the name of making money, but it's gonna happen over and over and over again. You give people the opportunity to flip a coin, and they're going to. Like, that's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's always gonna happen.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
All right. Well, I think that is about it for the week. We will come back. Let's see. Alex is actually about to leave at midnight tonight for a golf trip, but you should be back next week.
I
right?
am. Yeah, I'll be back in plenty of time next Sunday.
Perfect.
And follow my Twitter, please, and help me go after these motherfuckers.
I already got you. I'm already in there.
Ham has been going after this dude's real butthurt that people are actually like.
Thank you.
Calling him out on his shit.
I already went in. I went in.
You're the best. I love you very much. Thank you.
Dude was like chirping about my Twitch and being like, "Oh, I'm sure your 16 fucking viewers enjoy watching you play Apex," and they do. But
dude, we're gonna.
But he was like, I was like, dude, I live rent. Dude, I was like, it's been 20 minutes. I'm rent free in your head already. See you in a stream soon. And he was like, I'd rather watch paint dry than your square chin ass play Apex. And I was like, well, first of all, having a square chin is a very desirable feature.
It is.
So I don't know what you're trying to insinuate here, but
very chiseled jawline.
I like my jawline. Okay? And it's a very nice jawline.
Oh, dude.
So
he sent me a DM. He sent me a DM.
What did he say?
Hey, my bad if I hurt your feelings. I can delete if you would like. Just trying to have a little fun. Oh, dude,
was that after I went after him? It had to have been because I straight went in. I was like, imagine using looks to haphazardly try and validate the point you're trying to argue. Be better.
Yeah, my man got roasted hard by like 2 different people that are friends with you and was like, oh fuck, I pissed everyone off.
Dude, I just screenshotted it and posted it.
It's not even that big of a deal. Like I'm having fun with this because I'm just like, whatever. My stream and me as a person is rent free in your head within 20 minutes. But like, little homie feels bad.
Fuck yeah. Fuck that motherfucker.
Don't fight like a girl, and I say that with love, but don't fight like a girl and go after somebody's looks. Like that's just, that immediately makes your point less.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
come out of the
try to be better.
Out of the womb and be
like, this guy sucks, dude. He's a Texas Tech fan, an Astros fan, who are a bunch of cheaters, and a Bucks bandwagoner. Oh, gross. This dude sucks.
Yeah, dude. Fuck that guy.
We can end here.
People are coming out of the woodworks to fuck him up. Yeah, thank you guys.
That's
I
funny.
appreciate
Cheers. Sloppy, thank you so much for hanging out and chatting with us.
Thank you,
for
Sloppy.
sure.
Sloppy. Everybody else that was just hanging out and listening to us in the background, we appreciate you guys as well. We'll be back next week with what the world throws at us, and we'll talk about it.
Pray for me as I drive to Branson through the night.
You're not even driving. I already talked to Hugo today. He doesn't trust none of you motherfuckers to drive, so he's driving the full 6 hours.
Yeah, I'm going to be the hype man in the passenger seat, staying up all night.
Nice.
Keeping them up. So we're going to have some hot mulligans,
Bro,
microwave.
Dude, the thing that sucks, though, is you guys are leaving at... What time's your tea time tomorrow?
Like 9 or maybe earlier, 7 o'clock. We're going to get to the course about 6:30 a.m.
So you guys are going to drive 6 hours. You and Hugo are going to be up the majority of the time while everybody else sleeps, and then go play a round of golf.
And we're doing a Ryder Cup style tournament format.
Yeah.
To where It's going to be 4v4 the entire week. So we're going to hop out of the van ready to dominate. But here's the thing about when you put me and Hugo in the same cart, we fucking turn it on, dude. Like, Hugo and I are like Batman and Robin. Like, we have been in the most dire of straits in a golf cart, hung over as hell, running off of very little sleep. And you put us two on the same team, and we're gonna go out there and wreck. You're gonna be getting a lot of snaps. I'll send both of you a lot of snaps.
Can't wait.
That's fine. All I'm saying is that when we go to Padre in September, you and Hugo are not on the team.
We'll see. But next Sunday I'll have.
How is that fair for me?
Next Sunday I'll have a full recap of the entire week. All of the shenanigans, all of the fun that we've had. I might be a little tired, a little sunburnt, a little run down, but
can't wait to hear about it, no less.
And last thing, I really do appreciate Sloppy. Thank you for listening to my entry and your words of encouragement. Like, just one person. I love Ben, I love Haley, I really do, and they encourage me all the time. Just one random person say, you know, hey man, it doesn't, like, one person might have needed to hear that. I don't know who it is. You might be a follower. You might just randomly click on this on Twitch. I really do hope it makes a difference, because life gets better and we're all going to get through it together. All right. So tell somebody you love them.
Tell somebody you love them.
I mean that. I mean it. I mean it.
I made a really bad
somebody
heart. There it is.
Big old fat fucking hug this week, and don't let them go. Make sure they like start squirming and they're like, okay, let me go. All right, I'm done. Yeah. Like, just hold on a little extra long.
Feel my love, motherfucker.
Yes, you're gonna get this. Well, yeah, don't abuse anyone, but like, give them love. Even
Make sure they know that you care.
Yes.
All right.
Appreciate you too,
consensually.
Sloppy, but, yep. We'll see you guys next week.